Sunday, the 29th of November, lot going on. Crucial week, of course, in the Brexit talks. We'll see where we get to. That was nice of Mr. Barnier, wasn't it? He said he'd give us back a bit of our own fish. No. It doesn't work like that. We've got to take back sovereignty. We'll then allow the French to fish in our waters, but with a decreasing catch number. So let's watch that this week. Lockdown, well, if you believe some of the opinion polls this morning, nearly all of you think lockdown's absolutely fantastic. Here in Kent, we went to bed in Tier 1. We woke up in Tier 3 after a period of lockdown, and people are getting pretty angry. Now, today, I went out with a friend and we decided to go fishing. Some may criticise that, I don't know. We arrived, got to say the forecast was wrong. It wasn't sunny, it was really overcast. The wind was much stronger than we'd expected and the sea was a lot rougher, but we thought, the hell with it, let's go. About 5 miles out, into the English Channel, 8:10 this morning, we see in the distance a small orange boat bobbing around. I found it hard to believe that anybody else was out there, let alone a small boat. We made our way over to it, and it was an inflatable kayak. 2 blokes in it who had given up rowing. They were just drifting, and one of them waved an oar just to make sure that we'd seen them.
We're 5 miles off the English coast, quite rough seas, and we've come across 2 migrants in a blow-up canoe. Looking for them, we spotted them because they're not easy to see.
One of them was not in good state at all. We came alongside and said to them, "We just called the Coast Guard, help will be coming." It was getting pretty choppy by that time, and I think they were sort of, because they'd seen us, and they probably hadn't seen, because they told us later they'd left at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So they'd been out there for 18 hours, and perhaps they got a bit excited about the fact we were there. Anyway, they got the balance wrong. The boat turned over, 2 men in the water. Not a good position, not a happy situation. One of them had a life jacket on, the other didn't. He went straight down under the water, but came back up after a few seconds. They were able, because there wasn't a tide running, luckily this happened at slack water, otherwise this story would have a very different ending. They were able to grab on to each end of the upturned kayak, and one of them, we decided to try and get in the boat, but the boat had quite high gunnels, and 2 of us holding him, we were pulling, hoping he'd use his legs to help force himself up. He did not have the strength. So we then turned the kayak back over and we put him back into the kayak. He wasn't very keen to go back in, but we put a ring round him, we put him back into the kayak. The other fellow was a bit fitter. We got him back in the kayak. We tied it up either end. So they were saved, but they were very wet, obviously, very, very cold. We gave them a couple of cups of hot coffee with sugar, which seemed to improve their mood a bit. Then Border Force turn up. You know, this Border Force that we spend so much money for. And Border Force's instructions were for us to take the 2 onto our boat, and they would then collect them direct from us. So he said, look, if we try and get one of these guys out and over the gunnels, number 1, we've tried already. It's very, very difficult. He's not in a good state. And number 2, as soon as we do that, the other bloke is going to get tipped straight back into the water. So there was quite a standoff with Border Force, and I was hugely unimpressed with their professionalism in that situation. After about an hour, a small inflatable lifeboat from the RNLI came alongside, grabbed the guys, got them in. This today, I mean, the weather today was dreadful. They'd given up rowing. They were 5 miles out in the English Channel. Apart from us, there wasn't a single other boat in the area. There is no question they wouldn't have survived, even if they hadn't tipped out. One of them, I would have thought within an hour or 2, would have been dead of hypothermia, and probably not much longer for the other. And bear in mind, all of this is taking place in a week when we've given the French government another 28 million, yes, another 28 million pounds to stop the boats from coming. We need to send signals. Otherwise what I saw today will, over the course of these winter months, lead to a series of tragedies, and possibly 1 or 2 big ones. This was a kayak with 2 people, but as you know, there are boats coming with many, with many others, 20s, 30s, 40s, even 50s, have been seen crossing the Channel this year. 1st of January is coming up. End of the Brexit transition. The end of our need to abide by the Dublin regulations. It's our chance, and what we have to say is that anyone that comes by this route will not be allowed to stay. That's what the Australians did. If we don't do it, we're going to see tragedy. I very nearly saw tragedy in the English Channel today. I have to say, it was a pretty frightening thing to see. And I repeat, had it not been slack tide, they'd have been gone, and there's nothing we could have done. So it was not an experience that I enjoyed. I wasn't out looking for it. It was the only boat that was found in the English Channel today. But I just think, Priti Patel, you've told us again and again and again that you will stop this trade. If you don't, make sure that from January the 1st we have different rules that allow us to return people straight to France who come here illegally, then not only will another 10,000 or so come next year, but there will be tragedies in the Channel. So something needs to happen, and fast.